All right, look at the first problem. Okay, you guys need to have a basic familiarity with how coordinates work. This whole unit is all about coordinate geometry, but I learned in the half of the unit that some of you guys actually do not have a basic understanding of how coordinates work in terms of x comma y, x-axis, y-axis, things like that. So, this is sort of level 1. All right, let's see how you guys did. Let's see. Andrew, let me start with Andrew Thomas. What did you get for the value of b, my brother?
4.
Okay, he got a value of b being 4. Did everybody get a value of b as 4? Raise your hand if you do not see where that's coming from. Who does not see where that's coming from? Right, no, I'm sure it's not just you. Okay, here's the deal. Of course, this horizontal line is the x-axis, right? And then the vertical line is the y-axis. So when we do a point x comma y, you know that the first number tells you how far to the left and right the number is. The second number tells you how far up and down the number is. So if we look at this b value and we want to know what that is that like an x value or a y value?
Y.
That's a y value. So is this number going to tell me how far to the right it is or how far up it is? All right, this b value tells me how far up it is. So all I need to do is find another point that's equally high up. And then that'll tell me how high up all these points are.
Like 4.
Like the 4, okay? So if we compare this point and this point, they're both at the same y value, okay? They're both equally high up. So if this one is at something comma 4, then this one must be something comma 4, okay? In other words, this must be 4 on the y-axis. So that's why b was 4. While I'm at it, shouldn't that also tell me what h is? Okay, so what's going to be the value of h, Mason?
4.
Do you agree with that, Mason? Okay, h should also be 4 for the same reason. All of these points are at the same height, so if one of them has a height of 4, they should all have height of 4. So right away, that tells me that h is also 4.
Wouldn't c be 5 then?
Wow, we're going to see. We're going to see. Let me call on some specific people, but hold that in your head. Okay, Christian. What do you say for C, Christian?
I thought it was -3.
Okay, he thought C was going to be -3. Okay. Okay, look at this. C is right here. Okay? C is the x value. So do you understand that that's telling us, is this value going to tell us how far up and down we are or how far to the left and right we are?
How far to the left?
Right, this value tells us how far we are to the left or right. Now, is this to the left or is it to the right? First of all, it's to the right. So it's going to be positive something. So what we should be doing is looking for another value that's equally far to the right. So this time we should be looking at these 2 points. Okay, both of these points are equally far over to the right. So if the top point is at 5, whoa, I missed. If the top point is at 5, then the bottom point should also be at 5. So C should be 5. Okay, any questions so far? Maya, do you understand what I've written so far? Kind of. That means not really. Where am I losing you? All right, let's go ahead and look at D. Let me erase some of this extra stuff. All right, Maya Jane. What did you think would be the value of D, Maya?
I said -2.
Okay, she said -2. -2 is correct. Okay, D and -2. Both of these points are at the same height, so if one of them is -2, the other one should be at -2. That's correct. Any questions right there? All right.
Wait, so that
Listen, don't talk to people, please. You're distracting others.
It's actually not. I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. Haley said, well, wouldn't that mean that k is also negative 2? And yes, she's right. Jet, please stop talking. All three of these points are at the same height. So if one of them has a height of negative 2, they all should have a height of negative 2. So yes, D and K should both be negative 2. All right, Tiger. Talk to me about the value of E, my brother. Yeah.
I thought E was, what did I say? So it was negative 3? Yeah.
Okay. E is indeed negative 3. Okay? And again, it's because, let me erase some of this mess. These 2 points are equally far to the left. So if this point is over negative 3 to the left, then this point must also be negative 3 to the left. Okay? Devon, that just leaves J.
I said 0.
Say again?
I said 0 because it was touching the line.
It's touching the line, okay? Correct. Does everybody understand that if you're right on the line, that x value is going to be 0. So this had to be 0, comma 4. And this point down here had to be 0, comma negative 2. Okay, so J had to be 0. And F had to be, I skipped F, but F had to be 0. Any questions?
Nah.
All right, so that's level 1. To be able to do any of the things we're doing in this unit, you have to be really comfortable with what we just did in that warm-up right there. Any questions? Raise your hand if you feel lost on what I just did. All right, let me try it the other way. Raise your hand if you feel like, I got this. I understand what you just did. Okay, put your hands down. All right, now the other one. I need you guys to be able to do what we're trying to do in this unit. I need you to be comfortable with something I've said before. If lines are parallel, I need you to know how their slopes look. If lines are perpendicular, I need you to know how their slopes look. Okay? Let's start with parallel. How do slopes look when the lines are parallel, you guys? They should be the same. If lines are parallel, their slopes should be the same. That makes sense because slopes tell you how steep the line is. Parallel lines have the same steepness. So if one of them is 2/3, you have a parallel line, it should also have a slope of 2/3. Okay? Now, what about perpendicular? How do perpendicular slopes work?
Opposite side and reciprocal.
Opposite sign and reciprocal. All right, I've tried to drill that into your heads, but on the test, I had people getting it wrong. Okay? If lines are, not everybody, but a lot of people were messing this up. If lines are perpendicular, their slope should be opposite sign and reciprocal. Okay? So Daniel, if one of them is 2/3, if you have a perpendicular, what should the other one be? It should be negative 3/2. Okay? Opposite and reciprocal. So, now let's look at the warm-up. This is basically just like one of the problems I gave you on your test, which I thought everyone was just going to get right, but it didn't happen. But better late than never with the knowledge on this, because we still need it for the current unit. So I gave you all these slopes of these lines. So let's start with M and N, for example. Okay, so everybody look at M and N. We have 5 and we have -5. Those are the two slopes. Let's do this. We will hold up, one finger will mean parallel. 2 fingers will mean perpendicular. And 3 fingers will mean neither. All right, show me on your fingers the answer to M and N. Are M and N parallel, perpendicular, or neither? 1, 2, or 3? Keep them up for a second. Okay, everybody put your hands down. All right. Everyone should have had up 3 fingers at a time. Okay? These are neither. Okay? If they were parallel, what would their slopes look like?
It'd be exactly the same.
They'd be exactly the same. If they were perpendicular, what would their slopes look like?
Opposite sides.
1/5.
They'd be opposite sign and reciprocal. They are opposite sign, 5 and -5. But they're not reciprocal.
Wait, parallel is opposite side and reciprocal?
No. If they're parallel, they should be exactly the same. Like,
Perpendicular is opposite side.
if they're perpendicular, they should be opposite sign and reciprocal. Jordan, no talking, please. Okay, reciprocal would be like this. One of them would be a fraction like 1/5. Okay? So that should be neither. All right. Most people were correct. N and P are perpendicular. Okay? -5 and 1/5. They're opposite sign and reciprocal. So that's what it looks like when it's perpendicular. Okay? All right, show me on your fingers. What about M and P? Almost everybody said neither, which is correct. Okay, 5 and 1/5. I see the reciprocals, so why are they not perpendicular then?
Because the reciprocals aren't a negative.
Right, we need to have opposite sign as well. Okay, they're both positive, so that's not going to work out for perpendicular. All right, show me on your fingers about M and R. All right, M and R are perpendicular. Okay, 5 and -1/5. They're opposite sign and they are reciprocal. Okay, what about R and T? All right, show me on your fingers what you think about R. All right, shh. Listen to this very carefully. These ones are parallel. Okay, some people were saying neither, so I need to make sure that you understand this. We were talking about R and T. Notice that these slopes they're written a little bit different, but they really have the same value. Okay, I need you guys to understand -1/5 and 1/5, those are the same. They both mean the same thing as -1/5. Okay? So it doesn't matter if the negative sign is in the top or the bottom or right in the middle. All 3 of those things mean the same thing. So -1/5 and 1/5, that's parallel because that's the same slope. Same slope. Okay? So that's it for the warm-up. This is parallel.